Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming today to another meeting of Pacific Hackers. My name is Rod Soto, and I'm here today with Daryl. And Daryl will be talking about protecting your PII during COVID times. I'll give you a little bit of an update. Obviously, as you all probably know, things are still tough with the pandemic, so we're not going to resume any in-person meetings. We have one more meeting before the end of the year, since we've been meeting monthly. There might be an actual talk, or we do a capture the flag type of event, and try to have some fun from home. It looks like we're not gonna be able to resume our meetings anytime soon once the year ends. So our first meeting next year will probably be about what we're going to speak about, which is always that we do all the time. And then from there, we'll select the topics. And if there's enough topics, we can even go bi-weekly. It will depend on the participation and your willingness to contribute and engage. So we have one more meeting. We do have a Discord channel. I'm gonna post the Discord channel address invite in the chat for this WebEx session. And for those of you who are here for the first time, we meet every month. We're a group based in San Jose, California. We used to meet at the Martin Luther King Library. We're an open group. Everybody's welcome. And we try to help people get jobs in InfoSec. We try to learn ourselves by putting ourselves to do research, share that research. We build up teams to do competitions, and we try to do events that basically are community-based events. We don't charge anything. The only thing that costs here is your time that you're going to invest in learning new things. And in these times, we have helped people. There's been some people affected unfortunately, by the layoffs, but I have to say that we as a sector we have been very lucky. We haven't been affected as bad. So those who lost their jobs had actually found jobs pretty quick, and I'm happy to say that. If you are in need of help and need maybe somebody that can guide you, or in terms of InfoSec job, many of us are aware of the opening positions. I post it all the time in Discord. There's like-minded people there, just like you, are either studying or trying to find a job. So we try to give support to those who are basically trying to get better careers and make a better living. So with that in mind, we will be announcing soon our last meeting of the year. And I think it's probably going to be a capture the flag. Not sure yet, but I think so. We'll let you know in advance. And I hope all of you are safe. Stay safe, and hopefully, we've been hearing good news about the vaccine. Hopefully soon I don't know how, but how soon, but hopefully we'll get to resume at one point next year. And with that in mind, I'm going to leave you with Daryl. Daryl is a member of Pacific Hackers. He's been with us for a while, actually, and he's very active. Thank you for your service. It's a amazing human being and a veteran. And today he's going to give us a presentation about protecting your PII during COVID times. So take it away.
Cool. Thank you, Rod. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody being here. I'll jump into this right away, just because we'll see how long it takes, given some examples that I will also show on the presentation. I just suggest that if you have any questions, kind of hold it towards the end. So my goal is to make sure that we meet the slides and finish the presentation so that you can see the entire process. So PII, as you can see, it's very much personal data that we cannot get it to compromise. So I'll show you what the presentation has to speak of itself. As you can see, PII stands for, of course, personal identifiable information. It's something that is of very much for yourself, that identifies you and only you as a very own individual, and we all know in the US here, the biggest example is your social security number, right? I mean, once you get your social security number compromised, it's pretty practically impossible to clean that up. So you have to go through a lot of hoops and ties. Of course, we all know the PII is the primary attack vector when it comes to identity theft in this country. And that's the main thing that people go for when they try to steal your data, when they want to disguise as you. Of course, the social security is directly related to you. It's something we call a primary key of your personal data. It relates to you and only you, just like, for example, a VIN number is to a vehicle, or using ISBN number to a book. The social security number is only you in this entire universe. It's just you. The other forms of PII that identifies you that can carry significant damage if compromised is, of course, driving license, that only belongs to you. Your email, of course, you'll be surprised to know, because when somebody sends you an email, it's just only you, right? That, you cannot afford to get compromised. Of course, your signature, that's very critical, because signature is primarily heavily used in your banking financial informations. Of course, your passport number, you don't want somebody to duplicate your passport. And of course, most important, we don't want somebody to rob you of your finances. Your bank, your credit card number is of course very critical to you. Of course, medical records. Some people may not realize the damage it can do to you. Of course, medical record numbers falls under a subcategory called PHI. That's also very important. You want to make sure that doctor people have the right, information. They're doing the right surgery on you, right diagnosis and things like that. You don't want something be wrong happening to you on the operating table. Something you want to be very careful about, and when two things put together, your full name and your date of birth does become your PII. Because remember, just your name by itself, like John Smith, there's hundreds of John Smiths out there, does not itself speak of PII. And neither does your independent date of birth, because, for example, my birthday was last week, November 2nd. There's hundreds of people born on November 2nd. So those two individually by itself doesn't carry any weight, but when put together, they become very little. Regardless, because that's sorry. Your phone number, of course, in an active mode, when your phone number is tied to you, of course, is very important. But of course, if you change your phone number, that becomes not really apparent to you. Certain things like your home address becomes debatable. Cannot really be considered as PII from what I was reading, because today you can own the home, tomorrow you can sell that home. So there's certain things that will not necessarily be a PII. So you just gotta weigh what's important to you. So how do you protect your personal data? As you can see, personal identifying information. Basically, right now during the COVID times is getting pretty much more in demand. The threat actors pretty much, they're sitting home, being idle, being bored. Of course, doing a lot of cyber attacks here and there. PII is, of course, very much important to each and every one of us, right? It's surprising to see how much of our personal data can be found on Google. Not something that you want people to have public access to, like private investigators. They can easily run your information, and who knows what they can use that for or sell that to. This webinar that I'm doing is pretty much intended to give you a high level to see how your information can be found online and what you can do as a baseline to extract your PII off Google, and just kind of clear yourself from a lot of data libraries. So something is better than nothing. What we're going to use is a CCPA, which is California Consumer Privacy Act. Using that as an example, a driver point, how we can use that to remove your PII online, using a concept called opt-out from common data brokers. This is something that's new, that's coming in play. And what happened was, as you can see in the past, we have GDPR, which is very relevant to Europe, a regulation that they follow. They have that, but their default nature is opt-in, which means if you want to be available for any other general public, you have to opt in according to GDPR. For here, it's vice versa for us. The CCPA came in play because of GDPR. That's how CCPA came into effect. But our default nature is opt-out, which means automatically you are right there, available online. If you want to get yourself out and away, you have to kind of opt out of it. Sorry, yes. You are basically, sold, and then you have to opt out, which means it's a little opposite than what the Europe is. So advantage GDPR has and disadvantage to what we have. But again, programs out there that you can use, and I'll walk you through the process how that's a little bit that you can use to your help to get yourself away from online. So CCPA is something that came into effect January 1st, 2020. It's basically your right or your request to delete your PII, opt out, basically, a process. And the other states, other residents from other states can also piggyback on this program as well. So it's not something that only California can use. Because of the high population and high data records in California, that's why CCPA was imperative to come in play. But there's other states out there that's a little bit in process that's going to be following a similar legislator, and they're going to be coming in as things follow through. I know this year, because of COVID and other things, there are other states like Texas, I think, Florida, a couple others, Illinois, that's a little bit in works trying to build a legislator according to similar to what CCPA has. So, but again, you can always use this opportunity, and it's not something that's just tied to CCPA. Why? So why do we have to worry about this? Well, your credentials, as you can see, is very critical to you, right? I mean, last thing you want to see is this being sold or being on dark web. So, last thing you want to see is your information being sold on dark web, not something that you want to deal with. Now that your information is in a lot of bad hands, not something that you want to be dealing with. So, well, the prediction was, of course, for 2020, there will be an immense data breach in your privacy data. And of course, it's happening, if you haven't been subject to that, then knock on wood, but those information have been stolen. You can probably talk to them and how they had to go through a lot. So a few advisories, again, I'll walk through the process. Search for yourself online, the best measure. Just Google yourself, basically your first name, middle initial, last name, or however you feel comfortable. And then, based on, I'll walk you through some of the data brokers, how you can contact them, via email or your phone number or opt-out option. That's mainly the footnotes. There's many ways how you can reach out to them and get yourself removed. So, and what do you call? Yes, some of the data brokers, you can see the big name ones out there. I just given a little research, inventory of some of the big ones out there you can use. I'll pick 3 from here that I'll walk you through. Each one is a little different, so that kind of will give you a little principality of what you looking at, how to go about walk through your process and to remove them. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at first being verified. Very good one to use. If you look at that link over there, you can read about their privacy, how the data is being used. And again, I just took a little screenshot for California residents, but again, other states can use the same process to get themselves offline. It's a very good information with the privacy link over there. Like other agencies, data brokers have similar, reading according to those. If you want to read further and learn about that, how the data goes online and how you can remove them and how can they be used for. So what you call when we click on this being verified, and I'm gonna just use this as an example. You can of course search anybody over here, right, using first name, last name. But what you want to do is, we are really concerned about how do you remove yourself. So a lot of these websites, and again, this is an example I'm going to walk through. You want to look for something like do not sell your personal information or how to remove yourself. So we're going to click on there. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to just use my dad as an example. And I'm going to type his name. And again, this is just an example. It gives you a little high level of what or how to work through this process. I'm just going to leave the state open because his name is pretty common. I mean, not common, pretty peculiar. And as you can see, that's him over there. Of course, he lived in Sacramento, El Grove. Family members over there. So I would click on that. Now, I can just put his email or my email, and I'm just gonna put his email, and I'm gonna put this, and of course he's gonna get an email. I'm just gonna have to buzz him after the webinar and let him know so that he knows what to do and just brief him through the process. So, okay, did we miss something here? All right, of course you have to do this thing, send verification. Okay, boom. So the email has gone out. Now, as you can see in the slides, again, we clicked on this link over here. This, you can also, like I was saying earlier, you can call these people, you can email them. What do you call here? We just ran through that example. You will get an email. So my dad in this case will get an email. When I did mine, I got an email. It will be something like this that will show up. You click on that link and it will give a verification to the agency, and then within, like I would say, a day or two, at most 48 hours, they'll remove your information. It's just pretty much a check they want to do from their side to make sure that there is no robot or any robocall, request coming in, that is a legitimate person sending a request, and then they'll go ahead and immediately remove your information. So sometimes it's immediately, sometimes at most I've seen those list of inventory of data brokers I showed you. On average, I would 3 days, give you 3 days, they'll remove your information. So you can always go back in a week and so check, and you should be pretty much fine. If you do your search like that, if you show up, you can remove that. If you do not show up, it'll be fine. And then I'm going to give an example. For example, when I did remove mine, and let me see. So, and I did mine like about in June or something. So you can see if you try to look for mine, it didn't show up because I went through the process. So if you see something like that, after you run through the process, you're good to go. So just kind of example of feel of how the process works. I'm going to run through another example. This is a good one, number. And so again, like I said, you want to be careful about if you're trying to search yourself or if you're trying to really remove. So because if you're going to be, and I'm going to run through my name here, and I was going to ask for volunteers, but I understand the comfort level for everybody in this webinar, so I want to be respectful of that. But if I click myself here, so now the system is searching for itself, and as you can see, I really don't see myself over here. So because I ran through this website as well and I cleared myself. So I'm gonna pick a family member that that I have that has not gone through this process. So how that person shows up and how you can clear this. This is number again. You can see here at the bottom. If you go here, it says remove my info. This is something you can click on. Again, you have an option. Either depends on your comfort level. You can either email them. They respond very quick, or you can call them. I also went through a couple of data brokers and I did try and call them too, just give a little sample, and they were very responsive. They were easily able to get somebody on the phone. It's a real life person. You give them your information, your first name, last name, date of birth, they'll set you up and they'll clear you. And then when I was able to go back after a couple of days, look for myself, I was cleared. So they're very helpful, they're effective, and again, thanks to CCPA, this program was not there before. It's fairly new, so try and take advantage of that. And again, like I said, it's comfort level. Either you feel like calling them, you don't even have to wait on the phone for most part. There's somebody comes on right away. Either you email them, email response is pretty quick, couple hours. I find it the best just doing it online because you can save screenshots. So remove my information, I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna pick one of my family members because I saw her available. And let's see, I'm gonna type L group here. Okay, boom, and then search. Okay, so so there you go. So she's showing up over there. I'm gonna click on the view details. And what I'm gonna do is give it a little time. It's kind of loading. It's searching through the database. So I hope I'm not going fast enough for you guys. Is the pace okay for everybody? So I'm gonna try.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Okay, I'm gonna try and do this again. Sometimes my internet, I just changed my router, so it gives a little bit of drag. So, okay. So I'm gonna click on this. Okay, boom. Okay, so if you see over here, that's family members' personal information. Not a good thing, right? Too much information out there. And that's pretty scary. That's not fun in the database thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this URL and copy that and then go back. And if you follow through, what I'm doing is when I go and click on remove my information, and it makes it very simple, user friendly for you. Like I said, every website is different, but the concept and the principality is same. You see over here it says opt out of number. So remember the URL that I cut and paste? I'm just gonna put them here and then submit. I'm not gonna do that because I have to talk to my family member, let her know that I'm doing this. But if I click that, of course, like the similar example that I showed you in example 1, that person will get an email. That person will open the email, clicked on opt, whatever option is. And I think I do have a screenshot on my option, yes. And you can see over here. So like I was showing you, we'll click submit. That person will get an email. This is my example here. Email will be something like that. It would take you through the hyperlink. You will click on that, and then boom, there you go. You are all clear. So that's a confirmation email that shows that you are in a process, and they will act according to your request, and then you are removed. So, and of course, when you search for yourself, you shouldn't see yourself. You will see something like that, page removed, something along the line. So just like I have shown you, when I look for myself using my city, I cannot find myself. So something like that. I'm going to quickly run through another example here. Check people, another third one, a very good one. And again, like I said, each of them pretty much make it very easy for you. Your comfort level, either use the email, your phone number, or you remove my info. My main process over here is to do the webinar where I can kind of walk you through the remove info, because we know email and phone number is pretty easy, right? We know all how to deal with them and just run through the process. Remove info is a little bit different. The reason I'm using 3 examples is because each of them is a little different. So over here, if you go all the way down, and remember, you always want to hit the footnotes. That's where your guidance is. Okay, they will give you different options. Like I said, the wording is different. They'll either say remove myself or do not sell my information or something there. You just kind of have to gauge and use the indication as to what you want to click on to remove yourself. So here, do not sell myself. Okay, I got this over here. I'm going to use my wife's information because I think this is one of those that I did not put my wife through. So I'm gonna type her name, and of course she lives in Elk Grove here with me, and yes, in California, of course. You just go through your robot checklist, cars. When I just click on this, okay, I must have missed something. Okay, bicycle. I'm not a big fan of trying to use this kind of examples, but we'll see. Okay, crosswalk. Just bear with me. Hopefully we can clear this. Okay, finally. All right. So there you go. Boom, she shows up. And for example, very simple reason. You can see my name is over there tied to her, right? And the husband, and of course, family members. She lived, here and with me in Elk Grove, Sacramento, Irvine. She's from Texas, Oklahoma. So obviously that's her. I'm not gonna click on that because she's gonna come knocking at my door. But of course, I'll walk through the process with her so she can clear her. But if you reference back to my screenshot slides over here, so as you can see, if I were to go click on, of course, remove record, I would get the screenshot over here. Very simple, straightforward again. The process of removing yourself, you would click on that. You would get an opt-out option. Again, you do your due diligence, fill out whatever is needed, and you search for yourself. You'll get a new page called selected. Of course, a lot of times they want to verify you to see if you're a real, live, legitimate person and real request, so that it's not a robocall or robo request. You put in your email as needed. In this case, I would put her email so that she would get an email and she would submit the due diligence. In this case, I just put mine over there, send confirmation, and boom, there you go. It will reset back to you. The email has been filed, and then you would open an email. This is an example for me over here. When I did mine, I said, hey, Daryl, you would like to request, complete your confirmation. Boom, you do that. Just a little bit of verification. Again, this is for your records. You know that this has been done. So later on down the road, if there's any issues with them, if you're showing up, you can always reference this. And again, these people are 100% pretty good with what they do. So it will not go wrong according to the principalities and policies that's out there to protect our data. So anyways, so those are 3 examples I did. Based on our time, I don't want to take too much of you guys' time, but if you get a chance, this is another very good one, instant checkmate. Try if you want to walk through the process, while we're in this presentation, or maybe after this webinar, if you want to later tonight, do it yourself. Try instant checkmates. Just walk through the process. If you go on the bottom, just click on sell my info. Just follow through the process. It's very straightforward, and then that can walk you through the process. So just an example of how you can clear your ground. So anyways, again, just to highlight how to opt out process. It's very simple. Just run through a couple checks. Step one, you would contact the broker that you want. Either reach out to them through phone, email, or using opt-out form. Your best get is always using the opt-out form. It's very simple, straightforward. Like I said, you can get screenshots. Search for yourself. Find yourself out there. Verify. Remove yourself using the option, and then just follow the process. Okay, and then what you call, as you can see, the data brokers that I went through. Let me show you here again. These are some of the main ones I covered. There are some big websites. There are some small ones. The thing is, I'm working with FBI right now to see if there's a centralized database that we can use to do this. Right now, there hasn't been anything significant like that. But what it is if you run through majority of this, each data broker feeds into other ones. So they kind of like are interrelated, internetworked, or intertied. So if you go through a bunch of these, it will clear from the other ones as well. So there are some big ones like this ones over here. I did a good research. I spent a couple of days looking at these. So if you run through most of them, you are actually on a good track. So this feeds into smaller databases too, so you don't have to worry about those. So like OneRep is a good one. Number to name is a good one. These are some of the big ones. If you walk through this process, like I said, again, the one I showed you, for example, 1, 2, and 3, they will clear the ground for a lot of the smaller ones. So something is better than nothing. And give me a second here. Let me get to where to. So yes, like I was saying earlier. So if you get like about 70 to 80% of your data removed using those data library, as time goes by, you're gonna have your information on Google less and less available, which is good. So, and eventually as time goes by, it will clear up. Again, why do you want your PII offline? Is because you basically, last thing you want to see is yourself being sold on dark web, deep web, and that's not a fun thing. That's we all know from cybersecurity, that's not something where you want to be. So again, thanks to CCPA effective 1120, they came into play because of high California population. As you can see, California population is about 41 million right now. I think we're looking at Texas about 30 million. Florida is like third with 20 million. Because of this high state population, these policies are coming in play to protect our information. Like I said, again, other states are kind of coming behind, duplicating CCPA. So try to take advantage of this, use this. Adversaries are trying to grab your PII as much as possible to steal your data, to sell it for whatever reason, who knows, right? To get a new passport on their name, under your name, or to open up new accounts. We know, and we all know the damage of identity theft. So, like I said, again, other states can use a similar approach, just like CCPA. So you're not tied to again being part of California. So why are we doing this? Again, because of COVID, there's a high spike in global cyber events. And the biggest thing is like phishing attacks, PII getting hijacked. So please protect your credentials. I cannot emphasize enough, especially California residents are pretty much on a high demand. There's many ways how your PII can be compromised. Of course, we all know phishing emails is big out there. It comes in your work email, in your personal email. But there's other things that are coming up to the surface and getting bigger right now. And a lot of times people are not aware of this, something called phishing and smishing. And for me, trust me, I get about 2, I would say to 3 texts every day. And I get phone calls as well, pretty much 1 phone call every day. And it's pretty much like, you probably know about Nigeria phone calls, text, federal tax return phone calls. They callers calling you and asking you for personal data, right? It's just getting so common and so annoying. So something to be aware of. Anybody calling you, on your phone, asking you for personal stuff is no different than a phishing. Phishing only thing is through an email, and phishing is through a voice phone call. Of course, third measure now is text message, right? We are so surrounded by text messages, right? We just are more easier to pick up our phone and text somebody than calling. If the calling was the old school days, now it's all text. Like I said, I get text messages every day. Hey, Daryl, you have a parcel. Click on this link to confirmation for your confirmation and verification so we can deliver your parcel. UPS text comes to me, USPS text comes to me, Amazon text comes to me like, oh, some from random phone number, right? Everybody has a phone number because of this personal data being sold. I get text message saying like, I remember getting one yesterday, Amazon account, please click on these links to verify and get your $25 gift card. Now imagine if I had clicked on that. Who knows, man? I have no idea about this link, where it's coming from, what's the background on that is. And imagine just click on that link, boom, there you go. Now I have my personal data that's all on my phone that could be sold to somebody or transferred via that link, or I could be even getting a ransomware on my phone. And the next thing I know, my phone is jacked, right? So do not click on those links. And those are just as dangerous as anything else. So that's what you call a phishing is. It's gonna get more and more bigger, higher. Like I said, I'm getting 2 to 3 a day. So again, why is this happening is because of recent attacks. So threat actors, cyber actors are just sitting home and way too much time on hand, and they're trying to do whatever they can to damage other people for fun, whatever reason, who knows, right? But mainly to gain your personal details and your financial details for their benefit. So advisory, what to do about this? Well, especially for phishing and phishing, we know what to do with phishing. We just delete them or you block them. But for phishing and smishing, what do you do? So pretty much take precautions, right? Use your mutual understanding, your due diligence. When you see such calls or text, just avoid them and do not respond or do not um, attempt to um, respond to them. Or if you see anything unfamiliar, just ignore it. Why? Because the moment you respond, what happens is these are coming to you in mass mail or mass phone calls or mass text. So when you are responding to them, you basically are identifying yourself as a valid and a live person. And now that whoever is corresponding to you knows you that you really exist and your phone number is valid. So then you kind of have grounded yourself to that person and you're exposing yourself to further threats and attacks, who knows for what their purpose is. So that's a big reason why you do not want to attempt to respond or even try to make an answer to them. So what do you call something to be very careful, and this is something that was happening around summer, I believe, and there were like instant messages that were coming out through. It was trying to pick up your voice recognition, right? We are responding to a lot of automated systems, and so our voice recognition is being recorded in these so-called databases all over the world in different data centers. So when you get a call, something like, can you hear me now? And you respond, and when they pick up particular signature with your voice recognition that matches and says yes, that can lead to other circumstances that you may not even know in the background what's happening. So there is like business out there, entities, systems that are keeping an account of your voice recognition and a signature to a yes, something like that. And when you put them together, that can access your account settings, your social security information, your purchases, tied to whatever databases they are connected with. And that can open up door for you. And there you go. Your information can be compromised. You also have, as you can, some of you may know, that certain people, telemarketers cannot call you after a certain time. You have another resource, like you can go on do not call list. It's a federal registry system and put information over there, your phone number, register them so that they are not supposed to call you or they're not obligated to call you. A lot of illegal telemarketing, can be fined. Average fine is about up to 16,000. If you really want to follow through and make a file complaint, you do that. And trust me, you'll be surprised to see how some of these are being brought down by the FTC. So one of the things I've started to do more on active basis, like since last year, is having a Google account. So for example, when I go to RSA or when I go to State Fair, and of course, when you enter the sweepstakes, right? Do you really want to put your real phone number? No. You always try and get a Google account, download a Google Voice, and have a Google account. So when you go and we want to all enter sweepstakes, you never know, just you may get lucky for some small gift cards here and there. Try and put your Google number. So that way, at least, you using them to enter your name. So that way, because when it gets sold to a third party, and if the phone call gets too much, you can always delete the Google number and always get a new one. So something I would suggest, always try and protect your phone number. Like I said, your phone number is one of those PIIs. When it's active under your possession, you don't want to have people calling you 3, 4 in the morning and just wasting your time. So always try and use a Google number, something, an application that's over there to your disposal. And then of course, overall, you have all smart devices, protect your device, use the block features in there. Above all, guys, I cannot emphasize enough, if there's somebody trying to reach out to you, using a voicemail or text mail, if it's important, they leave a message. A lot of times we know this robocalls do not leave a message, but if they do, of course, you know how to deal with them. If it's garbage, you delete them. If it's important, somebody trying to reach out to you, they'll leave their contact back. So those are some of the things I just wanted to emphasize, and hope that was of help to you. But again, thank you for attending. And I don't know if anybody has any questions, but hope that was of something of interest to you and something that gave you a little eye opener as to how you can go ahead and protecting your information. So this is something also important, like, if you do go ahead and try to clear yourself from online, do it as always for your wife and for your teenage kids who have history, on the financial market, on the global, because you just never know who's tied to who. So hopefully this is of help to you.
There are some questions here. It says that does opting out keep you out permanently, or you have to worry about other brokers?
So what happens is, a lot of these brokers, they tie to each other. Like when I went and removed myself from being verified and number, I went on a couple other brokers, and some of them couldn't find myself. So I cannot remember randomly. Most of them are permanent. They will remove you, and some of them, like they may, if you do change an address, they might show up again. But that's where, like, sometimes speaking to the person can sometimes help. If you do tell them like that you want to permanently be removed, they will remove you, because if they do not, they're in violation of CCPA and this other legislative policy. So a lot of them, I've seen they're being honest, because I've been trying to do this from the last couple of months, and 99.9% of these brokers that I've used and I've requested myself of have not shown me back up yet. So they're working, because I actually had used my friends who are 1 or 2 private investigators, and I had them run me through a test, and they couldn't find me. Before I did this test, I had them look for me. They were able to, but they said that this has been quite a good, effective process. So hope that kind of helps.
Question: If I don't live in California, what happens to those who don't live in California?
So a lot of agencies are, a lot of data brokers are honoring this. From what I've seen, a couple of my friends who are in Texas, they said they were able to successfully were able to get themselves removed. A lot of times, what happens is, when you call this person, when you request, as you can see, you don't really necessarily have to put down your state. If you're able to find yourself using first name, last name, and your phone number, you put in your request, and they'll still honor it, because CCPA is a ground rule, is a baseline that is there. But I've seen success where a lot of my friends were able to remove themselves from the website as well, and they were not even California residents. Like I said, this is a shift that's moving to other states, so this is something that the data brokers are inheriting and still honoring.
Good. Here's somebody's asking for you to put the data brokers that you had displayed before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let me put that. So if you wanna grab this, and like I said, I put quite a lot of research into picking some of those. So those are Henry. True People Search is another big one. And like I said, CCPA is, again, it's like a baseline that is used, but a lot of these brokers are having a resource where you can go on the footnotes and click on that. So it's gonna be more and more apparent. So, and a lot of these data brokers are honoring the removal from online. So
here's another question: what are some sites that prospective employers use? Does removing yourself hurt your chances in any way?
So the employees are being moved towards more doing fingerprinting, and there was a little discussion within our state lately. The employees are more now encouraged to sway away from using the top data brokers because of financial reasons, and to go more use like something like live scan and more fingerprinting, which is more apparent, or doing more drug test. Because as you can see, these data brokers, they cannot be tied with the live scans or the drug test. This is more just to do a random search on you. Especially most of these are being used by private investigators. I mean, for example, a common one will be a mom that is trying to file a child custody support, right? For a dad who's in Florida or Miami, who knows? And it's easy to use a private investigator and resource out one of these data brokers and to find an individual. So that's where things like this come in play. There are some employers who use some of these data brokers. What you can always do is reach out to your employer, prospective employees, and see what, and they should be able to advise to you what data brokers they're using, and then go and remove your data accordingly. And so, that would be one resource. But again, like I said, a lot of employers are being advised to use more towards doing a physical drug test or live scan resources. Because the reason is a lot of these data brokers charge a high amount of money, and if the employees are using this for quite a lot, it becomes more a financial benefit. So that's something that's being looked into.
Here's another question. I opt out, but they still call. What do I do?
So what you do is it depends. Like sometimes you want to give it time. Are you talking about like opt out on the do not call list?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, so definitely that's a clear cut. It's a federal policy. It's a federal database library, and that's a clear cut violation. There is a resource on do not call list where you can go report the communicators to the FTC, and of course, when they do call, you have a record history, right, using a phone bill or even your screenshot, and you can always upload those and report that. And trust me, believe me or not, like FTC will immediately follow through, and you have I believe a case manager, somebody assigned to you that you can work with, and they will be dealt with. So, of course, like we all know, there's a lot of data brokers out there, or responders or sweepstake people who just kind of like to bend the rules and still will communicate to you regardless of what. But again, there are consequences for that. So it's just a matter of you following up and just reporting. And again, they will be dealt with from what I've learned with FTC.
One last question. Can we get the slides?
Yeah, I can definitely. I can put this out. What I can do is, Rob. I think I can work with you.
If you email them to me, I will post them with a video. We have actually a GitHub.
Okay, got you.
And the GitHub has all the, whoever sent me the presentation, I hosted it in GitHub. So yes.
Right. And I believe you have recorded too. So that way, when they run through recording, they can get slides that way too. But yeah, absolutely. I can definitely put a generic, of course, the key slides that I went through, I can definitely send them out to you, and you can post them as requested.
There's another question here. Dave, what was your other question? Sorry, I can't find it. I can give you guys the GitHub right now. I'm gonna post it in the chat, but Dave, if you can type, sorry. Okay. Does opting out keep you out permanently, or do you need to worry about the brokers collecting new information and building a new record?
Well, most of them is tied using your from what I've seen talking to these data brokers, because I've called over half of them, and they will go by with your first name and last name. And what you call once requested, even if you change your address, they will still get it removed. They will still keep it removed. So they have a data library that connects. Let me put it this way, that they share off, and when they put in a request, from what I've seen, it's permanent. But again, you do wanna something like that, you may wanna call them and just make sure you put in requests, because if you do opt online, it goes through a pretty intense search and removes it. But sometimes, like if you do let them know, like, hey, you can call them and say, like, okay, this is for 6 months or this is for 1 year. From what I've seen, like it's permanent request, so they should not be putting it back again.
Here's another question. How do you know which data broker is honest? If you give a data broker your name and email, why don't you give them PII?
Well, so again, like if anything, we all know there's a lot of dishonest people out there, right? This is a program that's getting to surface now. This wasn't something that was before. It was done more on a very slim level. Like I remember 5 days ago, contacting like some of these like Spokey or whatever, and I had asked them like, can you remove this? And they were like, okay, well, we'll put in a request, and we cannot guarantee your removal. But now, because of these policies coming in play, like I said, again, CCPA, and with this opt-out option, they are required to follow through based on a lot of privacy laws that's coming in play according to state and federal level. So this is something that they are obligated again. But like I said, you just never know who's dishonest, who's not. You just go with your instinct, and then that's why you have an email. Like, if there's something that they think that they have not removed or they've done, you always have an email record and say like, hey, I put in this request according to privacy policy that you have posted. You didn't do your due diligence, and you can always follow through. So again, like you always hope for the best. I've seen success about 70 to 80%. It's just a matter of fact, how much diligent they're going to be. But for most of them, I see they do tend to honor, because these are real person, live people. Couple of the phone calls I've called, I can remember. I believe Truth Finder or two such people. This is like a call center in LA, and they're like real life people that you speak to, and then even email communication. They will. You're dealing with real life person, so they will. You just have to have that faith, leap of faith, and they will honor that.
Here's another question. How will the CPRA affect things?
It's a very powerful law. It just came in this year, so like because of COVID, it was good timing. So it's gonna get more and more prevalent and more widespread. Again, like I said, other states are working also on the similar law. So it's just a matter of publicity and just being going more global. So it's supposed to be effective. Like I said, it's a I cannot remember the assembly bill. It's backed up by an assembly bill. So that's something that is being used to back that up. So it's supposed to be very effective. Like I said, anything that some of these data brokers do not follow can be considered as a violation. But again, everybody is different. Each data broker depends on their business of ethics. You always hope for the best. So this is just an example of your best effort that you can use to minimize yourself. Again, we all know that nothing is 100% accurate, right? I mean, it's just like customer service, with anything, nothing is 100%. So the webinar is more geared towards doing your best to minimize yourself and to minimize your damage. So just like going on the road, you drive with safety as much as you can to keep yourself from getting into a collision. But again, you'll always have somebody, never mind how careful you are, you're going to have always somebody that's going to come and still come in your way and do a damage. So it's the same concept, guys.
So let me actually ask you this. You actually tested all these removals with a PI.
Yeah, I went through quite a lot. Yes. I actually went to remove myself from quite a lot of those.
And how long did it take you to go through all this these things right here?
Well, it's a good question. There's quite a lot of research. I pretty much spent a weekend, and some of them are very straightforward. Some of them are very clear cut. Like for example, Spokio. I was on a phone call with them like 5 minutes. It was done, and being verified. I would say it was a couple of minutes. So I would say, if you, all depends on your time and effort. Like again, it's due diligence, right? You can sacrifice your like 1, 2, or 3 movies from Netflix. You can just choose to sacrifice it and just sit over and just try to get them done. It all depends, guys. I mean, if you're a real estate broker, you are quite a lot out there on the public level, then it's gonna take a while to get yourself removed. But if you're a guy who's very low profile and doesn't have Facebook or LinkedIn, you're gonna be quick, just in and out, being able to remove yourself. So it's how much you have advertised yourself online. So again, I've seen, like, especially if you're a doctor, right? I mean, doctors' information are out there, like they write articles. So if you have information, it just all depends. It's case to case from everybody. So, but I would say, like, for me, it was just matter of, I would say, what I went through. I would say, I don't know how many there are, like, I would say about 10, 20, 20, 25. I would say I went through about 20 of these, or 20, 21, 22 of these. Took me about, I would say, 2 to 3 hours, but then I was doing it more because this is my passion. Cybersecurity is what I do. Protecting PII for me and my wife is critical. We live in California. I work for state, so I'm very concerned. So the more harder and deeper you hit the ground, the more effective you can get. So again, guys, it's all personal preference. It's all case to case, and again, how much you're out there available.
Here's another question. Aren't data brokers, yes, you can, Alan. Aren't data brokers a den of thieves? So why should you trust them?
Well, it's you just never know, right? I mean, it's a hit or miss thing. So you can say that, but again, it's pretty much like Google, right? I mean, you search Google, how much Google can be effective for you. Like Google can give good information, they can give bad information. So it's again like something like, if you doubt, that's why there's an email out there, the phone number you can contact, and look at their privacy. I would always best suggest that we all know from being a cybersecurity, from a security person, if you always read their privacy, their terms of conditions, that can be a good guide, a good help. So that will give a grounding of how they stand, their establishment. So if always concerned about that, I always suggest, and I did read quite a lot of their privacy. You can see been verified. I did post that. Read that. That kind of gives a grounding of the establishment. So again, it's just a matter of who you're dealing with. So
I got a couple more questions. Can you delete your information from the various government databases?
So from what I know is, I believe the way government operates a little different. When I was military, like OPM, they will not post their data because of course federal knows better about protecting you. So it's hard to say. This is more like public public data, right? These data brokers are public information. So and of course everything Google is public information. So this is more, like I said, a good example is private investigators using them. Of course, they will not be using OPM databases because that's only secured to OPM or state data libraries. So from my knowledge, I wouldn't think that a federal, local, or county have databases out there now. I know, like for state, they have Sacramento B, where they advertise people's first name, last name, and their salaries, and there's CDT website. There's a couple other websites, state agencies that they post directory data. But again, those are just minimal, just pretty much people's information, their phone number. So minimal to the damage, but again, it just all depends, guys. Everything is case to case basis. So you have to use your best judgment and I believe, mutual intelligence to just figure out how you want to approach those. But from my understand, like federal data will not be sold. For example, like if you go on IRS site, if you want to look up your tax refunds, right? Of course, if somebody really has your social security number, your first name, last name, I believe, date of birth, and your gross AGI from last year, then they can only find stuff like that. So all of those are secured and that contingent upon what you have of a prior person.
Somebody here is saying the California DMV was selling private info up to this day.
Well, I think, yeah, we all know, right? I believe what DMV had a breach, was it last year in LA, last year or before last year? Yeah, those things, they happen. But again, we all know that state agencies, they're pretty good about protecting people's data. I think there was a issue last year in, I can't remember, LA DMV agency had a breach or something. So, we all know, right? No data is fully secured. People can break into data centers and steal data and post them on deep web and things along the line. So, we all know MailChimp, sells their data to third parties. So again, guys, we live in a very complicated world. Everything is going digital. Everything is going cyber. You always want to be on a positive note and work on this.
All right. So it looks like they actually were selling personal data according to a link that was posted here. Is there any other questions? This was a great presentation, Daryl. Thank you very much. This was awesome. I actually took a picture of this data broker, so I'm gonna go and try to erase myself on this. It's funny because you go to DEFCON and you go to all these places, and basically it becomes actually, believe it or not, it's a CTF where you end up using this data brokers to dox somebody. This is heavily used in open source intelligence, heavily used. So,
Right. Yep.
Oh, here's the another question. Can you ask DMB not to sell your data?
Well, I believe that's something maybe what, how can I put it? That's between you and DMV, right? You can reach out to them maybe from ways you can take a legal approach or I'm sure like they're doing things to fix that. It's just like, what is it? Like any agency when they have a data breach, I believe Sony had a data breach some time back, and a lot of people's password username was stolen, whatever. So people will reach out to you and help you to go through a certain process to fix your data. Some people will give you access to, I believe, certain amount of time where you can access your credit history or credit report though, so you can fix the damages, things along the lines. I mean, it's a little bit of process. So I would say in this case, if you feel, I cannot speak for DMV, I don't work for them, and this is just a webinar giving you an idea about how certain concepts work. My best approach, reach out to DMV and then see how they can help. Of course, we can see DMV. There's other agencies out there that has very much of your personal data, your insurance companies, and if they get breached, of course, they're there to protect you and help you what to do to get it fixed. So it all matters. So sorry, I can't speak on behalf of DMV in this case.
Well, thank you very much. This was a pretty amazing talk, and thank you everybody that came. We will be publishing the video soon, probably tomorrow, and then I'll be publishing the slides as well. And thanks again, Daryl. This was pretty awesome, and thanks to all of you. We'll be in touch. I placed the link for Discord and the GitHub. In the GitHub, you can also find the past presentations, and we'll be announcing soon our next meeting. And I'll thank you very much. So I will see you soon.
Thank you so much, everybody.